All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday night with Nick Lepri and Terry T. McBee as we break down Saturday night wild card weekend football, super wild card weekend. We got all sorts of goodness going on here. We've got the Raiders in Cincinnati finishing up their game. It looks like those of you that may have looked at the under are going to be in a little bit of trouble here. And we need a little more love for Joe Mixon. We better get some more rushing opportunities here. Otherwise, there's going to be some tears streaming down my face because I'm going to lose out on some same game parlays there. Nick, are you wagering in the sports world tonight?
Oh, yeah. My voice, I don't know what just happened there. But yeah, I wagered on Joe Burrow over 260.5 yards with the money line on the Bengals, which looks like it could happen as long as the Raiders score and then maybe Joe Burrow throws a couple more times. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Pro tip, make sure you have lots of cough drops nearby because you never know when you're going to need them. Terry T. McBee, how is it going? Life up there in New Jersey?
It's cold. It's really, really cold, actually. My feet are freezing right now. I had to go get the dog. He was just hanging out back. He doesn't feel like I do. I walk out. I'm like, oh, my God, my feet are freezing. And he's just sitting there like with a big goofy grin on his face, wondering why I'm not coming out. But yeah, it's all right. Otherwise, yeah, been a weird couple of days, like I was saying on the last show, but I'm happy to be here to discuss this with you guys. And it's a fun little single game slate, single showdown slate here. So happy to dive into it. Should be a good one to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is going to be a lot of fun. We, of course, we're brought to you by Prize Picks here, and we should be enjoying a few things on their site. They, of course, were sponsoring the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock as well. So we're doing a lot with them. Key thing that you want to remember when you sign up with them, use the promo code Awesemo. That will get you a deposit match up to $100. And when you come in on our promo code, it'll also have them generate an email to us saying, we need to give you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content, which is definitely something you will want to have. So that's $190 value. You just got to deposit $100. And by the way, their funds for their promotion funds, those come out of your account first. You don't have to do anything special. They come into the contest first. The other thing I want to remind everybody is in addition to this being super wild card weekend, we do have our express package, the NBA Showdown package, as some like to call it, but it's the NFL Weekly Express package, just $1 when you use the promo code SUPERWILD at checkout. That will give you the player ownerships, the player rankings, the player projections, everything we have for all of the showdown slates, of which there is the one more tonight, 3 tomorrow, 1 on Monday, and then it will also get you through Saturday of next week if you sign up today. So you'll definitely want to jump in on that. Let's kind of start from the top here a little differently as we're letting a few people collect here since we did start at a slightly different time than what was posted. Is there anything that you are concerned about with regards to the cold weather here, Nick? We're looking at game time temperatures in the single digits. I've seen conflicting information from various, let's just call them DFS tout or analysts. Some saying Josh Allen does not do well in the cold. Others rightfully pointing out, in my opinion, that, hey, he did play 3 years at Wyoming, not exactly a tropical environment there. And this is his 4th season in Buffalo. Now, does that mean he's good in cold weather? I don't know, but he should be used to it. Similar to Aaron Rodgers now, California boy, he's spent 17 years in Green Bay. And before him, it was Brett Favre, Mississippi guy who started his career out with Atlanta. So you're able to adapt. I think it's more of just getting used to it and just dealing with it. So instead of just thinking, oh, God, it's cold, you're like, all right, this sucks. Now what do I got to do? What are you thinking about the weather? Is that impacting anything you're doing? We'll let Terry answer that, and then we'll get into building some lineups here.
Oh, I'm answering that? You started that with
Nick.
You started that with Nick, and then you wound it up
solo. Go first, then Terry will answer as well, and then we'll build lineups. Sorry. There was those long windups, and then he threw one of those Bugs Bunny change-ups, and we had no idea what to do. Yeah, I'm trying to upload lineups. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I'm not too worried at all about the weather, if I'm being honest with you. There's not going to be like a tsunami outside of the game or something. There's not going to be a tornado going on like last time where there was like 50-mile-an-hour winds. So I'm not too worried at all. I am very sad, though, that Josh Allen is not going to be taking a Viagra prior to the game like he was told to have. He's also not wearing sleeves, which seems like a little bit of a hardo move, but that's just me. I think he's going to be just fine. I'm not too worried about the weather, again, unless it started like snowing or raining or something crazy, but that does not appear to be in the weather report based upon what I've looked at.
All right, Terry, you feeling very similar about this as well?
Yeah, even stronger. It's just for me. I don't like playing weatherman. I don't really dig into how these guys do in cold, in whether it's 50 degrees, 20 degrees, 0 degrees. Like, it's just not something I really sweat. And the people who do know about it are the guys who are making these books in Vegas and putting out these game lines. So things follow that trend anyway. That's what the math comes through based on. That's what creates a lot of what these projections are based on. So it's baked in. So just saying arbitrarily, Josh Allen right now, not arbitrarily, by our numbers, Josh Allen is the 15.4% optimal in the captain role, 65.6% optimal in the util role. Okay, so it's cold. By how much do we reduce those percentages? How do we quantify that? At what point do we start quantifying it on the thermometer? It's just a lot of noise. So it's something that I can just tune out, and I choose to tune out. So not on my board.
So just so you know, Terry doesn't sweat the cold. That's all I took from that. That's all I took from that.
Very nice.
All right. We're going to walk on over here to the FanDuel streets. We're going to build a lineup on FanDuel, and then we're going to do one on Yahoo, and then we're going to do one on DraftKings like we typically do. And then we'll spend some time talking about prize picks and some of the bets that we have out there that we can make. The game kicks off at 8:15 tonight. So we're going to be very, very cognizant of that, because sometimes we do shows and it's 8:20. Sometimes it's 8:25. This is going to be 8:15. So here we are. All right, Terry, it is the blue side. This is your home base here. What are we doing here as we walk into the single game contest with the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots? I almost said Tom Brady because it's ingrained in me.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't have Tom Brady to turn to, but I think anybody who heard the afternoon show, Live Before Lock show, heard my enthusiasm for a really low-owned Mac Jones play on that main slate. It looks like Joe Burrow probably is outpacing it by a little bit more than I wanted him to. But this first game largely played into that narrative where, like, Derek Carr's not really posting a big score. There were only 4 total quarterbacks. So in a format where he's only got to beat one other guy in terms of the quarterback spot, it kind of makes sense to maybe give him some consideration. He's 7% optimal in the captain spot for FanDuel. It's not where I want to go with this pick, though, because I do believe that the Buffalo passing game is the way to go. I don't want to put Josh Allen here. He's the most frequently optimal, but he's also really highly owned. He's negatively leveraged. I'm just going to take his top receiver, and I like going to the skill players in the captain role anyway. So at 10.8%, second highest, most frequently optimal guy on the board, Stephon Diggs, owned a little bit less than that, so there's tiny bit of leverage. He's the third highest player on the board, fourth highest player on the board by probability of being the top overall scorer. I think he makes some sense here to take him in the MVP spot on FanDuel.
All right, we're going to slot in there with Mr. Stephon Diggs. Nick, you are up next here.
Sounds great. So I want to go ahead and go with the running back of the Buffalo Bills, Devin Singletary. I feel as though they have really committed to Devin Singletary as being the lead, clear number one guy on the team. Now, earlier on in the year, there was a lot of movement at the running back position. At points, we saw Matt Breida be the guy. Obviously, that didn't really pan out. So here we are with Devin Singletary, who's been seeing a whole bunch of carries over the last couple of weeks. He also has been running a decent amount of routes, so I think his receiving upside is there as well. He's had over 100 yards in each of the last 2 games. In both those games, he also scored 2 touchdowns in each of those games, so 4 touchdowns in 2 weeks, over 200 yards. I am very confident in Devin Singletary tonight up against the Patriots run defense.
All right, chat thinks I'm in a bulletproof vest. You know what? It kind of actually looks like that. It's actually a sweatshirt here. I was determining if I was going to wear it or not. I took it off for a second. It is damn cold here in Virginia right now. It is just under 20 degrees. Apparently,
your black shirt really is creating like an effect, like you've got a vest, like right there, where when it's open like that, that's what it's doing. It looks like you've got a vest over top of like a blue puffy shirt.
All right. Well, Posse Comitatus here, your president, future president, EMac 2024, we got to be protected here. All right. Of course, Posse Comitatus, not exactly the phrase to use right there, but it was the only one.
Not exactly what that means, but that's all right. It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
There's like 4 people. There's 4 West Wing fans in the chat that would have known what that meant. So don't worry.
Exactly. All right. So that brings us to, so we got Diggs and Singletary. Decisions to be made here. I am going to recommend that we go with Damian Harris.
Ooh.
This is my thought here. While he is dealing with the sore hamstring, a tender hamstring, that does not always perform well in cold weather. It is a touchdown heavy site here on FanDuel. It's only half PPR. We are sort of moving away from the quarterbacks here. I'm playing this along the routes of what if there are only 3 or 4 total touchdowns? Can we capture those? It looks like we're saying 1 or 2 on the ground. We've got those. We got the best touchdown scored through the air with Diggs, and this leaves us 9,000 per player. There actually are some discount dandies available. We've got Nelson Aguilar at 7,500, Emmanuel Sanders at 8,000, Kendrick Bourne at 8,000. We've got the kickers at 9 and 9,500. Those would be probably as low as I would go for these particular guys. Nick, we'll turn this back to you here, and you can negotiate with Terry if you would like.
Okay, so it's my pick here. I kind of want to go with Emmanuel Sanders. Now, the biggest question here with Emmanuel Sanders, though, is what role is he going to be in, because he's missed the last 2 weeks, and Gabe Davis does look like the better receiver in that time. But Emmanuel Sanders is the veteran presence on the Buffalo Bills. So, Terry, what do you think about Emmanuel Sanders? Would he be someone you'd look to here?
Yeah, I'm good with that because it actually leaves us with the perfect amount of money to take the little offbeat pick that I would take next, given that amount of money. So we can talk about that. Why not?
Okay, so then we're going to go with
I don't
Emmanuel
dislike
Sanders.
that. And yeah, and Sanders was a guy that I was talking about a little bit on the earlier show in terms of his, massive positive leverage that he was carrying into the main slate. People are just not getting to this guy really all that much. On the single game where there's fewer choices, he's getting some popularity, 22.4% ownership, but he's 25.3% optimal. So he's coming up 2.9 leverage score in the util spot on FanDuel. So it's a perfectly fine play from that. It's not like overly differentiated, but I think with what we've done with this lineup so far and what we're about to do with it next, I think it makes some sense.
All right. For those of you playing NBA, it looks like Joel Embiid will play tonight. That is important. Carmelo Anthony has been ruled out. Austin Rivers is likely going to be out, and Isaiah Hartenstein will be playing for the Clippers. So there is your important news. And, this is a nice one. Amir Coffey will have potentially a slight minutes limit. So NBA never changed, but NBA on Saturdays, only slightly less crazy than NBA on Sundays. So keep an eye on that news out there. If you are a member of Awesemo, you're going to get those alerts coming up in the Discord channel. Or if you, are trying to be a little thrifty there, that's okay as well. Follow Awesemo NBA for your news. We also have Twitter for all of the sports, but if you follow on Twitter, Awesemo NBA, News God is posting from that account as well. Sorry, who was your final guy here after Sanders, Terry?
I don't know. There's like a child like screaming upstairs. Sorry, it's just distracting.
You sure this isn't one of Tyler's or Jordan's beats still going on in the background?
I would prefer that, to be honest. I don't know what the hell's going on up there in the other apartment, but okay. Interesting. That's never happened during a show. The other person that I was going to go to was $10,000 other running back from the New England Patriots, Brandon Bolden. I think he makes a little bit of sense to just slot in here. Super low owned play, differentiates us by playing both of the Patriots running backs, neither quarterback, and 3 premium skill players on the other side. I kind of like this weird little lineup that we've built. It's probably not one of the higher projected ones that we could put together, but in this kind of a lower scoring game environment that everybody seems to be expecting, I think it kind of makes some sense that it could come through. I don't love leaving both quarterbacks out of it, but in the configuration we built, I think that's the pick.
Yep. So we ended up with Diggs, Singletary, Harris, Sanders, and Bolden. No quarterbacks, as Terry mentioned. While we do not think it will be as extreme as the last game where Mac Jones only threw 3 times. 2 games ago. These teams have played twice. That was a bit of a weather game, and Bill Belichick was just proving a point. Every day he walks onto the field, he's proving a point. But he went to the ground game when it was a more neutral game script. When the game was in Foxborough, we did see, Josh Allen, once he's able to pass and open things up, it's going to force the Patriots to follow suit, because you can't keep up if you're down by a couple scores just by methodically moving the ball down the field. So they'll keep it on the ground as much as possible, but we may see some Mac Jones. We'll find out, but we have 5 capable touchdown scorers on here, and I think that's interesting in a low scoring game. All right, we will be moving on to Yahoo here. Let me call that up. Nick, we'll let you make the first pick on this one. And I will be disappointed if Devin Knox doesn't make it into a lineup at some point. Just saying, one of your favorite tight ends, 9 touchdowns on the season, fallen off a little bit from his torrid pace, but he basically has about 90% of the production that's gone to the tight ends. We know that Josh Allen throughout the years has thrown the ball to tight ends, or at least for the last 2+ seasons, gone to tight ends. It's been fractured amongst a variety of players, including Knox, but this year Knox has consolidated all of that. So even though he was out for a little bit with that fractured, I think it was his thumb, I can't remember if it's thumb or finger, but he still he's kind of been the guy. So I do want to call that out because a lot of times people don't like to play the tight ends on the showdown slates, and everybody, first score for the Cincinnati game, wasn't everybody just shouting CJ Uzomah? I knew it. I knew I should have played him. Here's your chance. Don't miss out on Knox. I don't think he's worthy of our superstar spot. Nick, what would you like to do with our first selection here on Yahoo?
Alrighty, so since we're not going to go with Dawson Knox, who I actually do want to get in one of these lineups, let's just go ahead and go with the quarterback play and go with Josh Allen. I understand he is the highest priced player by a decent amount here. Josh Allen is $36 on Yahoo, whereas Stephon Diggs is $28. But I think this is going to be a lot more close to the game that they played last time out compared to the first game where obviously Mac Jones ran the ball or just threw the ball 3 total times. So I would expect Josh Allen to have a very solid passing day. Even if you guys think that the Patriots defense is pretty solid, which I would agree with, I think Josh Allen should really have no issue in this game as long as he doesn't freeze out there.
All right, Terry, we will turn to you next. We have $19 per player. There are some good discount dandies in the $12 range. We've got Jacoby Myers and Emmanuel Sanders. Cole Beasley is just 11. It's half PPR over here on Yahoo, but we know those guys should see some volume. So we do have some outs there down near the bottom of the salary list. So that will be helpful. The other thing, the difference between FanDuel and Yahoo has defenses. FanDuel has kickers, but no defenses. They're both half PPR, and there is no surcharge to use somebody in your multiplier slot. So when we go with Josh Allen, he's $36. He's still $36 when we put him in there. Terry, to you, $19 per player.
$19 per player puts us right around the average for the guy that I was going to select anyway. By far, our highest probability of coming in the top 2 to 5% range, and by far our highest percentage per $1,000 player. One of our higher salary weighted top scorer players on the board, Mr. Mac Jones, quarterback for the other team, $20. I think it makes a ton of sense for $16 less than the other quarterback to just take the next most likely high scorer off the board in terms of guys who we know are going to have the ball, hands on the ball every single play. So I'll take Mac Jones for the easy money here.
All right. I am looking here. I think I am going to select Devin Singletary in this one. He's $21. We have a fair amount of flexibility here. And this also should give us between Allen and Singletary odds on getting the rushing touchdowns. Now, we saw Josh Allen have the fewest rushing touchdowns this year of his 4-year career. However, he rushed for just over 700 yards. He's not necessarily doing it as much in the red zone because, take a lot of hits there, but he's definitely been picking his spots between the 20s and getting a fair amount of worthwhile scrambles. This is a playoff game. Everything matters. It's all or nothing. So, the restrictions are off. So I would, expect him to be a viable red zone option, but I really like Devin Singletary here. In his last 4 games, he has 19, 23, 12, and 22 rushing attempts. And if I remember correctly, I'll have to look this up again because I just closed it out, but I believe Breida is inactive. So we're down to Moss and Singletary. Nick, to you.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get Dawson Knox. There's a reason why I put Josh Allen in the spot up there. We got to get Dawson Knox. Now, the thing with Dawson Knox, though, he has had a bit of a cool down. Now, he's not necessarily been terrible or something, but not as hot as from weeks 2 to 5, where he was scoring a touchdown every single week, where he was being very good in terms of fantasy. But recently, a little bit of a cool down, but I think he could really heat up this game up against the Patriots. Last time he played up against the Patriots, he did score a touchdown. So I'm in with Dawson Knox this week.
All right, so just confirming it, Breida is inactive. And then for the Patriots, as expected, Isaiah Wynn was already ruled out. Christian Wilkerson is out. Devin Assisi is out. J.J. Taylor out. Stidham out. Nothing else to see there. And then Sweeney, the other tight end, is inactive for Buffalo. I'm suspecting I'm missing one of their other tight ends, but there's only two that have received targets so far this year. So that's not really going to move the needle. Terry, we're coming back to you with $23. This is where you get to have a little fun. There's only two players we can't choose. And you know that leaving money on the table, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's, you know what, there is something wrong with our lineup that we put in last week, Terry, where you did a little 1v1 off, or you just changed who was in the captain or in the superstar and from what we had built, and you were in the lead for the vast majority of the game. The lineup we built was 3 down, but it was still going to win $100 or $150 in the big contest. And then at the end of that game, what happened? Madness. We both went to not cashing.
Wiped out.
How did that happen?
I think by that point I had flipped over to the Dexter finale or Yellow Jackets or whatever the hell was on that night. So I actually missed what actually happened on the field, but I did know where that lineup was. And then all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. So yeah, that was a sudden change. But yeah, I thought we built a couple nice iterations of that Yahoo lineup last time. Just taking a look at the board with what we've got left here. By the way, nothing locks in a Zach Moss touchdown, but like saying if we have Josh Allen and Devin Singletary, we've probably locked in the rushing touchdown. Nice work. I'm almost inclined to take Zach Moss, but I won't. Just looking at what we've got here among $23 players, we could go the somewhat easy, somewhat logical route and take Damian Harris off the top of the board here at $22, our next most likely guy. I suspect that would be pretty highly owned. And we've got such good differentiators if we drop down and just leave salary on the board by going to another pass catcher, either Jacoby Myers or Cole Beasley, $12 and $11, our next most highly ranked guys in that category, the top 2 to 5 scorer. So since we're building a lineup where we've got Josh Allen in the captain spot, I'll go with the Beasley play here. I think it kind of makes some sense. Like I said, it differentiates us by leaving salary. It goes to a very likely candidate for some of their receiving action. So I think it plays well with this lineup. If I had the other quarterback in there, I think I might go to the more likely high scoring play instead of the correlated passing play. So if I'd had the other quarterback, I might have gone Damian Harris there instead. If that makes sense, and just kind of foregone the correlation of the passing.
Oh, you mean in the captain spot?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, because we got both quarterbacks in this lineup, unlike
yeah. I meant if he was in the captain spot, what would I do if that situation was reversed? So I'm just trying to think that through. I'm not 100% sure that's what I would do. Like I might just take the same concept and go with either Kendrick Bourne or Jacoby Myers there, and it would probably be Myers more often than not. But at least it would be a bit more of a consideration. All right, maybe I just want to lock in a little bit more premium scoring.
All right, so we are going to do that. That's going to leave $12 on the table. That is Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Devin Singletary, Dawson Knox, and Cole Beasley, telling a little bit different story than what we did on Yahoo or on FanDuel. Nothing wrong with going that route because it gives us a few different outs, a few different ways to play the game. And especially in a game that is projected for not a lot of scoring, if we just land on the right touchdown options, we could at least min cash, if not see our number, our currently winnings increase. All right, we have 30 minutes until lock. We've done nice tempo here, keeping things moving along. We're going to go over to DraftKings and build an account there. Then we will have some time to break down prize picks. That should be some fun here. I see we've got about 250 people or so watching. Get us up to 50 likes. Team Free Money will be dropping in 10 $1 head-to-heads. I got mostly swept for both nights last weekend. So let's see if we can give back to the community yet again here with Team Free Money. That'll be a $1 head-to-heads, username EMac in the DK lobby. And that was where I put in, we had 200 likes, so I put in 20 lineups.
That's right.
It was not a pretty picture, right, Terry. I think I was 4-17 because Melissa had sent me one and I played a couple other people. So I know I only won 4. So not good times.
I just know you're lucky that Melissa didn't get all 20 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a blocker on there. So you just one per, I'll play anybody once per buy level.
Gotcha.
Nick, your shot here, your site. What do you want to do with our first DK selection?
All righty. Thank you very much here. So let's go ahead and look maybe a little bit different because we've already went with who was our captain the first time? We've done Allen.
Diggs, then Allen.
Yeah, Diggs.
Okay. Sounds
Mac
good.
Jones,
So
Mac Jones.
I don't like Mac Jones. I don't think I can do it.
Look what he does to buy us other stuff at other spots. He's so cheap.
There's also Jonnu Smith for 1,000 on DK. Throwing that out there.
All right, fine. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do Mac
we're
Jones.
Throwing darts.
YOLO. Let's do it. Mac Jones this time because it is completely different to what we've done before. So let's do it.
All right. Well, in that case,
Mac Jones' biggest fan today.
I think we will go Josh Allen with the next pick. Terry, Mac Jones, Josh Allen, 6,000 per.
I like that very much. That also plays into a lot of what we've seen in this kind of a game where both quarterbacks do end up in a lot of the lineups, and it is pretty viable when you have a quarterback in the captain spot that the other passer becomes viable just by virtue of the rising tide effect. And since we're saving a lot of money, we can get away with that on the multiplier on Mac Jones' salary there. So really like that play. Think it makes a ton of sense. And as I'm sorting over here on the leverage column, let's take a look. Either one of the Patriots wideouts, if we want to go Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, those are top two in terms of the leverage spot. I'll just go with the lower owned guy in the flex roll, and I'll take Nelson Aguilar here, and only $2,600.
All right. That does help us get some salary savings here. Nick, we'll let you go next.
All righty. So we got Mac Jones, Josh Allen, Nelson Aguilar. We have 7,133 average remaining per player. Let's go here and hop back on the bandwagon because I want my boy Dawson Knox yet again. The tight ends love the showdown slate, as well as the fact that I love Dawson Knox. I really do think he's going to bounce back here and have a solid game. Like I said, last time these two teams played, he scored a touchdown. In the other game that these two teams played, it was very windy and he was getting thrown lasers at him, but it didn't end up working. He didn't catch the ball. I don't even think he had a single catch in that game, if my memory serves correctly, but he did only throw the ball 3 times. But not 3 times. That was the wrong quarterback. With that said, though, I do like Dawson Knox a lot in this game, and I think he is going to have a much better performance than we've seen over the last 6-7 games.
All right. Not enough ownership on Knox. I'm actually surprised he's under 20% right now in the flex roll. Seems like a mistake by the field.
So, Terry, we have some choices here. We could go with sort of the, I guess, obvious with Jacoby Myers, since we do have Mac Jones. That, of course, will leave us with 7,400. From there, we could also take someone like Hunter Henry. That would leave 1,200 on the table. We could start to look at perhaps Harris. That knocks us down to 4,400. That would also get us one of the kickers. So we have Nick Folk, who has spent most of his career between the Patriots and New England, and the Jets. 10 seasons amongst those. A little stopover in Tampa Bay, but he's got a lot of outdoor cold weather kicking experience. Tyler Bass, this is just his second season. Both of his have been with Buffalo, but we just point that out that things are a little bit different when it gets that cold. The ball turns into a rock. Does one of those plays sort of intrigue you at the top end between Myers or going with Harris and hoping to bracket the touchdowns there for New England?
So I think I actually want to look to the Buffalo passing game here. And the reason I want to do that is because we took Mac Jones primarily because of his salary, not because we think that Patriots passing game is going to be the highest scoring overall piece of this game, right? So I want to ride Mac Jones. We do need a Mac Jones touchdown here probably and a good game out of him. Don't get me wrong. But I think with the combination of one of his receivers there, I think it differentiates us if we don't overload the Patriots passing game and instead we give Josh Allen another weapon to work with. And if Josh Allen throws two TD passes, we're still right there and we're getting there by virtue of a different construction than not a lot of people will have. So as long as Mac Jones comes through with a reasonable game, we should be right there in terms of competitiveness with some of those other lineups. So I kind of want to lean into one of those other Buffalo passing options. We took Cole Beasley on the Yahoo slate. I like Emmanuel Sanders. We talked about it. I think he makes some sense here. He's lower owned and he's less expensive. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to go Emmanuel Sanders. That leaves you 9,200 to spend on this last one. We can't quite get to the premium running backs, which is I was kind of hoping to do, but I think it leaves us at least some interesting options. If I went with one of the other guys, like if we wanted to go with the Gabe Davis route at 4,400, that would allow us to get to either, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to take Gabriel Davis here, 15.3% owned, 4,400. That leaves you 10-4. So now you can put Damian Harris in, you can put Devin Singletary, you can put anybody that you want into this lineup the rest of the way. And I think that's doing the right thing by our savings that we got by putting Mac Jones in the captain spot.
All right. And I'm comfortable with that. The one thing we do want to remember is Gabe Davis had seen some of his success with Emmanuel Sanders being out. He kind of will go back likely to the fourth wide receiver, but we know that that is, we've seen him enough in the playoffs last year. Granted, again, he had some opportunity via injuries, but we have seen him be effective. If he's sort of if he gets one deep ball, we're all happy. The volume probably won't be there. I think 3 or 4 targets is reasonable. Not a bad way to go. So
that's also why he's 4,400 and 15% owned. So we're gaining from that. It's not just.
We're hoping the rest of the field has figured that out and maybe goes to Sanders. That's kind of the hope here. But there's always a chance Sanders still has a sore knee or anything can happen in game. So the real question here, Nick, becomes: do we go with kind of a Buffalo onslaught here and take Singletary? Or do we balance things out and zero our salary cap out with Damian Harris?
Yeah, I'd like to go with Damian Harris here, but something I also want to discuss that I assume we're going to discuss is Ramondre Stevenson is playing, correct? Because we just haven't talked about him at all.
Okay.
So Ramondre Stevenson is playing, as is Brandon Bolden. So we should see kind of all of those guys. We've got Bolden sort of taking over for James White. A little bit of a lost season for White. Had some unfortunate family stuff at the beginning of the year, and then he had an injury. So lest we forget, he actually was the running back for the first few games of this season. He should be back next year. But we have seen Bolden get some of that pass catching work. Last week he did have a rushing and a receiving touchdown. No guarantees that happens again, but it is good to see. And we have seen him lurking at various times for touchdowns. That where he gets a slight bit of an edge over Ramondre Stevenson is pass protection. So Stevenson, rookie quarterback, Bill Belichick, old school, not really going to be into that. All it takes is just one poor play for Stevenson, and he could kind of see himself at the back end of that rotation, even though he is incredibly talented and was their high draft pick. So for that long way of saying, the challenge with Harris is he has that tender hamstring. Cold weather, hamstrings don't always mix. And then Bolden gives you the salary savings to come full circle there. So you still want to go Harris, or do you want to go with Singletary, leave a little money on the table? A reverse onslaught here, 4-2.
All right, you know what? Let's do that. Let's go with Devin Singletary. I'm a little bit more confident in Devin Singletary, even though the hamstring injury, I know that was going into last week for Harris. That was a bit of concern, and it didn't really do anything to him at all. He still had a really good game, but we'll go with Devin Singletary.
All right, so that gives us Mac Jones, Nelson Aguilar, Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, and Devin Singletary, leaving a little bit of money on the table. That will be our DraftKings lineup there. I did drop my 10 head-to-heads into the DK lobby, username EMac, and we just had Cincinnati wrap it up with Las Vegas, Cincinnati 26, the Raiders 19.
Yeah, so just to grab that for a second, because at the beginning of the show, I did say it looked like Burrow was pulling away, and Joe Burrow finished that game with 17.6 FanDuel points, right? So this is the exact scenario I was talking about on the earlier show for people who were watching that, and the reason that I was interested in Mac Jones at 5% ownership on this slate. At 17, it's not like Joe Burrow went out and put up a 34. Now Mac Jones really only has to, we have to worry that Josh Allen doesn't run off and put up that kind of a game. And then it's very much in play for Mac Jones. If Mac Jones puts up a 12, a 14 next to these guys at 17, I'm not worried about that. I don't need him to be the highest scoring quarterback now. I'm kind of liking that Mac Jones play. So I just wanted to go back to that play that I was talking about earlier in the day and just reinforce the reason that I was looking at it. It was at no point in today, included during this show, have I thought that Mac Jones was the best quarterback. I think he's 4 out of 4, but I think the opportunity created by his low ownership and his salary is very interesting DFS wise, and particularly now for the main slate, given how that game came out.
All right. Does that, so let's think about that. There's no real other swap that you would change in your late lineups because you played it correctly. There's no need to go from a Josh Allen down to a Mac Jones. That would just be silly, correct?
Yeah, and I would have so much work to do with trying to figure out how to spend that extra money that it wouldn't be worthwhile. Even if I wasn't on a show, I don't think I would do that. I'd be comfy just having my Josh Allen shares where they are, and hopefully everything else is set up correctly. I was doing those lineups while on a show, so we'll see where they come out. I may or may not succeed with that play, but I'm kind of happy that I was leaning into that.
All right, so we're going to go over here to Prize Picks. We have a fair amount of time. Just a reminder, you can go over to prizepicks.com. You can sign up there and use the promo code Awesemo. They will give you a deposit match up to $100 with your first deposit. By using the promo code Awesemo, you will also get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. That's a $90 value. What will happen is as soon as you sign up, it takes 24, 48 hours. They'll send us an email with your information and we'll get you signed up. If you're not already an Awesemo current subscriber, you can speed that up. You can reach out to support@awesemo.com. Just know if you're doing that right before lock, we're probably not going to get to you because we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. And if you're already an Awesemo subscriber, just let that happen naturally and come in unless you're going to lose your subscription in the next couple of days. Because if you put that in front of other tickets, then we're spending time on you when you've got a week or two left of your subscription. It just mucks things up. So we do ask that one common courtesy because we will get you that 30 free days. That is important to us.
Everybody should expect like 24 hours. At least there's a little turnaround time. Nothing is immediate.
All right. So the fun thing about Prize Picks, we're building out player props. So basically you can use cross sport, and they like right now we've got second half NBA, regular NBA, college basketball, NBA first half, NFL first half, NHL, MMA, soccer, women's college basketball, CSGO, Rocket League, and of course the NFL. So a lot of fun here. The other thing the other rules that you have is you have to build a card with 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. The more questions you have on your card, the bigger the payout when you get them right. If someone does not play or you push on one of their numbers, that question just comes out of your card. It doesn't invalidate your card. It just comes out. So if you add a 5-pick card, it becomes a 4-pick card, a 2-pick card. That one just kind of goes away, and it's a push because they can't do just one question. They have to have 2. The other rule is you can't use a player more than once per card. So if we wanted to use Josh Allen's rushing prop or Josh Allen fantasy points props, then we would need to build out 2 cards. Final thing is they do have single game contests. You just have to pick one player from each team. So otherwise, which is basically, those are essentially the same rules you have on all the other DFS sites, but this is a way to get in player props in a lot of the states that do not yet have sports wagering. So it can be a lot of fun. So the one thing that is nice to do is we can go over and look at the Awesemo Odds Shopper, and that will help give us a head start on some of these props, especially if you are not subscribed to Awesemo, because within that, we are actually putting out the Awesemo projected stats, which is very helpful because that's what these over-unders are the stats. Now, if you're going to be looking for fantasy points, well, in that case, unless it's free fantasy projections, you do need to look at the Awesemo subscription here. So I'm going to go over here to Odd Shopper. I am going to filter on why can't, oh, there we go. Buffalo Bills, it's alphabetical. That is a great idea. And I will look at, and why is my filter not working here? So let's go to Virginia because I'm in Virginia and we're getting some,
So I'm also using this on, we have the Awesemo.com NFL player props tool, which has the same data, just converted over to the DFS site. So that's sometimes easier and quicker to get to if you're looking for Prize Picks picks. It's just kind of a direct board for Prize Picks. Odd Shop is set up with that e-commerce format where it's so easy to find one specific bet, but looking at the entire board at the same time might not be the best way to look at it.
Yep. So I'm going to have to put the kibosh on that because it's mucking up with, well, I got too many tabs open. So Terry, since you have that open, I'll have the Prize Picks window open and we can talk through a few of these. I'm sure the Mac Jones passing yards is there. Prize Picks has him at 178.5. Where does Awesemo have him in this? And then we'll let Nick weigh in as well.
Yeah, so we had him projected for 216.09 yards, which is notably over that mark. At a 195.5 prop line on this board on the betting tools, it was a 58% expected win rate for the over. So taking that line down a peg, I think that's a pretty strong win rate on that one. So I'm kind of liking that. And I wasn't even aware that we were projecting him for that many passing yards. That makes me feel even better today. Better now about my enthusiasm about him today.
Nick, how are you coming in on that one?
On the Mac Jones one, that's what we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to just start talking about Josh Allen or something on accident.
Oh, that'll be next. Don't worry.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm looking at his stats as well. So when it comes to Mac Jones, I think their best plan of attack to win this game is to just run the ball a million times. But the fact that the yards is that low makes me feel as though it is going to go over. So yeah, I would lean with you guys on saying this will go over 178.5.
Yeah, under discussed too. I mean, if we're looking at the yards per pass attempt, Mac Jones for the season 7.3, Josh Allen 6.8. So that's not nothing. Obviously, Allen throws the ball more often, but Jones is throwing for more yards per attempt.
All right. Josh Allen is at 231.5. Where does the Awesemo have him, Terry?
Mr. Awesemo, Mr. Alex Baker has Josh Allen at 235.6. It was what on Prize Picks?
It was
231.5.
Feels like a stay away.
That feels like a definite no to me. Yeah, I wouldn't touch that one. Coin flip.
All right, let's look at the rushing yards here. Damian Harris, 57.5. Ramondre Stevenson, teammate, 36.5. Do we have a Bolden trifecta? We do not have Bolden there.
Nope.
So Stevenson at 36.5, Damian Harris at 57.5. Do either of those shake out for us?
Nick, where are you seeing that one?
On Damian Harris, I like the over on Damian Harris. He had 73 yards last week, 47 the week before, and then 2 weeks in a row of over 100 yards. So I think he could easily hit that again. I do think the game plan for the Patriots is to try to heavily run the ball down the throat of the Bills. So I like the over 57.5. That seems pretty low to me. I would think it would be closer to 65.
All right, going back here to the old Prize Picks. Let's see here. Devin Singletary, 59.5. I like the over. I'm playing for a positive game script. I'm thinking, where's Awesemo have him? I'm going to say like 72.
I actually got him at 64.5. But, oh, that's on the under. Okay, yeah. So it's a 72% expected win rate on the under with a line of 65.5. We've got him projected at 64.5. So okay. A little bit under what I would also expected him up around like 70, 72.
All right. And then, Nick, this one's for you. Mac Jones, 7.5 yards. We know he doesn't run. We know he had, I believe he had negative yards in his college time. 7.5. It's cold. It's playoffs. It's rookies. What do rookies and inexperienced quarterbacks do when they're under pressure? They pull the ball down and run. I don't think we're going to have to worry about victory formation tonight. We shall see. What do you want to do with the 7.5 yards?
Yeah, Mac Jones might go tuck and run, but it looks like he runs in molasses. So I'm not too sure I want to take that. Even though he has actually been quite effective running the ball recently, that's probably one that I would stay away from. But if I was to lean anyway, it would be on the under. But I do agree with you. I don't think we're going to see victory formation here for the Patriots at the end of the game.
You want to chase the 2.59 yard attempts per game, 2.9 yards per attempt?
No, not for me.
Comes out to 7.51 yards per game.
Really?
Definitely not. Not for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know. I'm a sucker. I can be a chalk donkey for some of these things here. What do we got on our next one? Let's look at some of the receiving yards. Steph Diggs, 66.5. Jacoby Myers, 42.5. Dawson Knox, 30.5. Any of those popping for us here on Prize Picks, Terry? Or the Awesemo numbers going over Prize Picks?
Just real quick for Willie Pulley and Danger the Safety Dog in chat. If you're looking for those lineup builds or all of our picks there, I'm not sure when those comments came in, but rewind because we're on to the different part of the show here. Which were you looking at there, EMac? Sorry.
We are looking at the receivers. First one, 66.5 for Steph Diggs.
Diggs is projected for, that's another tight one, projected at 68.72. Seems a little low. The board we were projecting against was 70.5. So we were actually favoring the under slightly with 55%, but that just feels like another one that's, relatively close to a coin flip. I'm not really wild about it.
All right. And some of these are going to be tight, especially when we're looking at single games. It's the nice thing. You can look across to the NBA props. You can look at some of the second half contests. We can look at other games that we've got 4 more coming up after this one. Devin Singletary, 12.5 rushing yards.
Rushing yards or receiving yards?
Receiving yards, sorry.
I like that one a little bit better than the last one, but we've got him 16.17. It was 12.5. Yeah, we've got a little bit of room. That's like an extra reception difference there. So I don't mind that. At a 15.5 line, we had him going under 58% of the time. So it probably comes in again in that 55-ish% range if we flip that the other way. But I don't hate it. I think I like it a little bit better than how far we had Diggs projected there. I think it also makes sense if we wanted to go, since we took the over on the Mac Jones passing yards, maybe looking at a guy like Nelson Aguilar, who we've got projected at 36.02. What was his line on Prize Picks? Because on the board I'm looking at, it's only 25.5. We had that going over 62% of the time. So
he is at 21.5.
So that would correlate pretty nicely if we wanted to go that route.
All right. We've got Cole Beasley at 31, Gabe Davis at 24.
Nick?
Either one of those, Nick.
Yeah, Cole Beasley would be the one I'd be most interested in. It seems like he's really gotten a bump up in targets recently. Now, could that change with Emmanuel Sanders coming back? Definitely could, but I think Cole Beasley is one of the more consistent receivers in the NFL. Now, he's not going to be hanging 100 yards, I would assume, in this matchup, but getting the over there, the over was 31.5. Yeah, I think he could do that.
All right, let's see. We'll move on to fantasy score here. Josh Allen at 20. That feels kind of you embellish or expound upon that one, Nick. More than 20.
Yeah, I like the over because I expect him to rush in a touchdown, and that will make it very easy to get to 20. Whereas Mac Jones is 12. I don't expect him to rush in anything. So, yeah, I'd go with Josh Allen over 20. I'm pretty confident that Josh Allen's going to have a good day here. I think a lot of people are going to be worried about the cold and try to just talk themselves out of it. But Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And if he hits Stephon Diggs on like an 80-yard strike, which is entirely possible in any game, the guy's a cannon, I think he could easily hit over 20. Obviously not the best number, right? If it was at 18, I'd feel a lot more confident, but I'm still very excited about the over 20. You guys agree with that?
And I think what you said dovetails perfectly with not taking him on the over-under on his passing yards or anything like that. We're saying, yeah, he'll get to that fantasy score, but specifically because we think he's going to rush one in. So I think that's a good read on that play, and I like it a lot.
All righty, I'm going to upload my lineups here. Terry, I'm going to toss one more over to you while I'm doing that. Let's look at Dawson Knox, fantasy points 9. Just 9.
We've got him on the FanDuel board. We had him projected for only 6.48. So that seems a little bit thin for a 9-point fantasy score.
Full PPR on Prize Picks.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're factoring that in, if it's a 6.48 on FanDuel, what are we figuring? An 8.5, a 9, somewhere around there. So I mean, it's just right around what that line is. That's playing with fire. But I mean, if we like Dawson Knox, if we like him to, if we want to play a correlation play with a short pass Josh Allen TD that kind of dovetails with both of our other picks, with Josh Allen on the over on his fantasy points, but the under on his passing yards, then maybe we take the over on his tight ends fantasy points and think that they get a little bit of work done between the two of them. And that's how we get there. So I think we tell a nice story by making those 3 picks. So I'll take the over on it, but I don't think math-wise it really makes sense.
All right. We will look at receptions next. If you have receptions, Terry. Jacoby Myers is at 4. Steph Diggs is at 6. Devin Singletary at 2. Steph Diggs at 6 without $1 million incentive on the line, but postseason aspirations.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to see next week. I feel like he wants to advance in the playoffs here. So probably something to play for, whether he's getting paid extra to or not. We had him projected 5.44, it looks like, though. So he's projected under that mark by a little bit here. 69% to go under a 6.5 line. It was only 6 on Prize Picks.
Yes.
I like it a little bit better, but that's still going to be trending toward that under. So I think it's a stay away.
Right,
we're really liking a very specific angle on that Buffalo passing game with these picks, but going by the numbers here, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Any strong feelings on that one, Nick?
I'd also go under. He's going up against J.C. Jackson, who in my opinion is one of the best DBs in the NFL. Last time he was targeted 7 times up against J.C. Jackson, got 5 catches, 41 yards allowed up against the Buffalo Bills, obviously, when they played the Patriots. So I'm not very confident in that one. One I do like, though, has nothing to do with the receptions. It's Hunter Henry's over point total because I think he's going to score. I think his fantasy points were set at 6.5. If he scores a touchdown, then that will go over. So that's another one that I like to sprinkle in here.
All right, 6 minutes to go. For those of you that have not uploaded your lineups, do it quickly because time is running out. Let's see, touchdowns. We have Devin Singletary is the only one on the board. He is for 1/2. This is an anytime touchdown. That feels like, a little dicey. There's, when we get in close, we got Josh Allen thrown to the tight end. We got Josh Allen taking it himself. Just feels a little dicey on that one. Passing touchdowns. Josh Allen is the only one on the board, 1.5. I'm suspecting we're projecting him for about 1.7 or 1.9. Terry, that probably makes him about a 67% chance of reaching this one. Do you have that one handy?
We've got him projected for 1.68. So you're dead on the around 1.7 against a 1.5 line that has him 53% expected win rate though on the over.
And then as we wind it down, 5 minutes to go, Mac Jones, 1/2 of an interception. Mac Jones interception today, yay or nay? How much does Belichick try to protect him from that?
Tried to protect him last week against the Dolphins, and it didn't work out too well for him. So I don't know.
Did they lost to the Dolphins, right?
They did. But, we're just watching from home. So what can I say?
And look, it's Belichick. He's going to follow what his data tells him to do in this situation, but he's also going to be thinking of it from, the angle of not doing exactly what's expected here. And he's going to come at them from a unique perspective. There's a really good piece up on the Ringer, I think is where I was reading it, where he was talking about going all the way back to the Giants when he was the defensive coordinator in that Super Bowl and just coming in with the notion of letting the running back gain 100 yards. Which was just totally unheard of back then, but his data backed it up in that if you allow the running back to gain 100 yards, it slows down their no-huddle passing attack so much. And he sold his defense on it, and they won the Super Bowl. So, he does things like that. He next levels these games to a really strong degree. The game's caught up with him on a lot of the analytics, but he's going to be looking for any different angle. So maybe there's the idea of unleashing Mac Jones a little bit more in the passing game, which I think would lead toward more potential for an interception from Mac Jones. So that was a long-winded way of saying that I kind of like that one. I think it makes some sense to take it.
Jones threw 2 interceptions last time out against the Bills, so I would agree. I think over 1/2 sounds pretty good to me.
All right. I think we're getting ready to wind her on down. So we'll use this time to remind everybody, if you didn't sign up, we do have the promo code Super Wild. This is for Wild Card Weekend. It is to acknowledge the many showdown slates that we have available to us and to give you the Awesemo NFL Weekly Express package for just $1. That's Super Wild, one word, all caps. That gets you the showdown projections for player popularity, for projections, for everything, for all of the playoff games. And I bet if you were to put all of those projections together, technically you would have all of the projections for the regular slate. Just saying, get on in here for $1. You also get access to Discord, which is a lot of fun to just continually torment people like Terry T. McBee in there. We also have the Prize Picks, who was our sponsor. You can get 30 free days of Awesemo by signing up with Prize Picks using the promo code Awesemo. They will also give you a deposit match up to $100. That is a $190 deal. If you just put in $100, gets you well on your way to success out there in the DFS streets. And then starting tomorrow, we have all sorts of content for you. At 9:30, we've got the NFL betting show with Pete and Ben. At 10 o'clock, we have the NFL First Look with Josh and Adam. And then we go into the deeper dive. And then, of course, Live Before Lock. So our usual show breaking down the 3-game slate for Sunday's wild card weekend. Then, of course, we do have NBA Live Before Lock at 5 o'clock, just 3 games tomorrow. I believe it's a 6 o'clock and 2 8 o'clocks. And then don't forget, Monday is Martin Luther King Day. So that means wall-to-wall basketball beginning at 12:30 Eastern. So we will have multiple shows covering the various slates for that. I suspect T McBee will be writing 10,000 words, 7,000 words. We shall see.
It's going to be a lot. Now I got to just start earlier in the day now that you reminded me that that's Martin Luther King Day on Monday.
Well, it just reminded me that I need to front load my articles that I still have due, because I will be at an award ceremony for my wife for her all of her half marathon and 10K running this whole year. She was the Iron Woman for one of the event companies that she did a lot of racing for. She had the most mileage and the most races. So we'll be going to that. So I need to get
congrats to her.
Get typing away here pretty quick. Nick, final thoughts as we get on out of here for you.
Final thoughts. I don't really have too many thoughts. My brain just full of nothing right now. After losing that bet, made me a little bit sad. But no, in reality, I think the Bills are going to win this game, but not handily. I think that the Patriots are going to cover the spread if it's still at 4.5.
All right. What is your Twitter handle, Nick?
It is @Notorious, FNTSY, and I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Perfect. T McBee over there at Digital B21. I am at EMac DFS on Twitter. And of course, it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamer, shout out to Tyler, the producer, who's had a very long day. Good luck.
Whispering his thoughts into that plastic bag right now.